30-year-old Suleiman Fakiri died after an altercation with prison guards at the Central East Correctional Centre in Lindsay. It was in December 2016. An investigation by the Kawartha Lakes Police Service found that there was no grounds for criminal charges against any of the prison staff. However, new details in Fakiri's death were revealed by CBC's The Fifth Estate. Reporters spoke to an eyewitness who said a half-dozen guards were responsible. Now, the case has been reopened, and the investigation has now been taken over by the OPP. Yusuf Fakiri, Suleiman's brother, speaks for the family. He's been advocating for justice in his brother's death. He's on a national speaking tour, which brings him to Waterloo this afternoon. Good morning, Yusuf.
Good morning, Craig.
Why was your brother in solitary confinement in the first place?
Well, Craig, that's the problem in itself. We don't know. We have not been told to this day as to why he was in segregation in the entire time. Yet staff at the facility were aware that Suleiman was suffering from mental illness. We still have not been told to this day what happened in those 11 days, Craig.
Why was he in the institution to begin with?
What happened was on December 4th, he was temporarily taken to custody to Central East after an incident happened with the neighbors. My family was not there when that incident happened. A couple of days before his death, he was ordered by an Ontario judge to be transferred to the Ontario Shores Centre for Mental Health, but he never made it there, Craig.
So what do you know about the day that your brother died?
What I do know is it was a violent end to his life. I do know that both his legs and his hands were tied at the time of his death. He had 50 bruises, and a significant number of these bruises were blunt impact trauma. And he was in segregation. He was pepper sprayed twice. And everything that I just articulated to you, Craig, this came out of the coroner's report. 50 bruises, legs and hands are tied, in segregation, and endured severe violence at the hands of guards.
So it goes through a Kawartha Lakes Police Service investigation. They find there's no grounds for criminal charges against any staff. Why did your family launch the lawsuit?
The lawsuit, Craig, for us is another tool for accountability. We want to make sure what happened to Suleiman does not happen for another family. You know, my family suffered incredibly the last 2 years, and we still do. And we want the individuals that took Suleiman's life to be held accountable, so another family doesn't go through what we're going through.
Now, you and your brother both have ties to this region. You were a student at Laurier, and your brother studied environmental engineering at the University of Waterloo back in 2005. Talk a bit about Suleiman's time at UW.
He was an incredibly talented young man. He was studying engineering at Waterloo, and everything looked, his life's trajectory looked incredibly successful. And tragedy struck when during his second semester at Waterloo in his first year, he got into a car accident and he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. But he was a man with incredible talent, and a part of us has been lost since the day that he was gone.
Yusuf, finally, what do you think that Suleiman's case says about the way that Ontario handles inmate cases that involve mental illness?
It says a lot. It says that people with mental health, their lives need to be cared more. It says that accountability and transparency is so difficult to attain. Where Suleiman's life, his death could have been prevented. We had the same tragedy with Ashley Smith years ago, or Justin Saint-Amour or Cascades. These are individuals that have mental illness and that have suffered at the hands of the correctional system. This has to stop. The list of individuals that have lost their lives that have had mental illness in the correctional system is long, but the family's agony and anguish has, continues. And we as a family were speaking out so another family doesn't go through what we're going through.
Yusuf, we appreciate you speaking out this morning with me. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yusuf Fakiri. He's talking about his brother's case, mental health, and the need for prison reform in this province.